Hi guys, Miss Carico here, and I have my helper today, which is Leo, and he is going to be helping us sketch our blueprints. He has been helping us with all of our classes while we've been virtual. You just sometimes don't see him, but he's always there. Benji's here too, but he's chilling in his igloo right now, eating some blueberries, so we're not going to disturb him. You should be coming from our last video for the simple gear train assembly. If you need to, I'll put the link at the bottom for you. This is just a general gear assembly with different parts. The next gear assembly that we're going to do is called the idler gear, and it's pretty much the same. It's where you have a gear, another gear, and then another gear in the center. And then what it does is that you'll notice when we build your gears that one will turn this way and the other will turn this way. But when we put in a gear assembly with this one, with the idler gear, because this one is going the opposite direction, this one will make this one go this direction. We see this with conveyor belts and things like that, to where we have something going in one direction. So let's go ahead and get our blueprint set up. It's the same procedure. It should start to become instinct for you for blueprints. We're going to put in our border. Whoops, my finger was in the way there. All right, we're putting in our border all the way around. I like to leave usually about a finger's width of space in between the edge of the paper and the actual drawing. But for this one, there's going to be an extra gear. I'm going to be giving it a little bit more space. Right. If you need to, when we're doing these drawings, especially with the more advanced ones, like the lead screw and things like that, you can pause the video at any time and catch up. All right, so this is our border. This is our drawing space area. We then need to further divide it into 4 quadrants. So we can do our different views. There we go. And put our labels in. We have top view, 3D view. This one down here is our front view. And then this one is our right view. These spaces and these labels never change. So eventually you don't need to put in these labels. You can just leave them blank and just draw them in. And anyone looking at your blueprint will already know what those views are. We don't need those labels. For our title, we are going to be writing in idler gear assembly, all caps. Just like that. Writing the words top at the top of our paper when it's in landscape mode. This tells people that's where they need to orient the top of the paper when they look at your blueprint. Now at the bottom, we need to write in the words not drawn to scale. To let them know this is only a reference and they shouldn't measure things to try and figure out how big that assembly is going to be. The reasoning why is that these are just general assembly blueprints to show you how to do your builds. And the builds are going to be differing sizes. And it'd be different if we had specific build instructions, like your windmill, for example, needs to be a foot tall and 6 inches wide. I mean, in that case, then you would want to draw it to scale. But because all of our builds are going to be so different and everyone's going to have their own design, we're not going to draw the reference to scale, because it would just be extra time that we don't need to spend on. We have other things that we can do. All right, so we're going to start with the front view. We're going to do front, right, and top. I'm going to switch over to a pencil just in case I make a mistake. You should be using pencil until the final stages with the inking of your blueprint. All blueprints need inked. You will be uploading this one to Google Classroom as an assignment, and if you're turning it in as paper copy, we'll look through those whenever we're back in school, but I just want to make sure that you guys are keeping pace so you're not hit with all these blueprints all at once. Now for class tomorrow, we are going to be building what's called the lead screw, and we're going to be doing our blueprints for that together. For our front view, just like before, we go in by 2, up by 2. Let's go ahead and zoom in so that you can see what I'm working on. In by 2, up by 2. See, that's my rule of thumb. It's roughly about the width of a finger. I mean, it just depends on what kind of finger you're using. That way there's a space in there that just helps you from going over the drawing area. So we're going to connect our lines. Just like that. Oops, we're going to go up by 5. We're going to in by 2, up by 5. On both sides. We're not going to connect these lines because we have to draw our gears in first. So I'm using a quarter and a dime. I don't have another quarter on my person at this moment, so we're just going to use the same quarter for the other one. Now, if you don't have coins, you can use bottle caps and things like that, or just freehand it. I like to use things that are already a circle so that I don't have to worry about the circle being all wavy. All right, so here is the first gear. We're going to do our second gear in the middle. It's going to look like a surprised face. That's what it's going to look like. Sorry about that. My hand blocked the screen. There we go. Just like that. Doing our little idler gear circles for our locking nuts and where the axles come through. And then we're going to connect our lines across. Remember, when it's behind something else that's in front of it, we do a dashed line. Oops, whatever. And then, there we go, we have our front view. So for this one, the difference being that we have an extra gear in here. You can add the teeth if you would like. That is a personal preference, or you can just keep it a circle. I'm going to put in the spikes just because that's just what I do for the blueprints. It helps me visualize that that's a gear. That's why I do them the way I do. All right, there we go. Now for the next one, we are going to do the right side view. We're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to draw our guidelines across so that everything is the same, just very lightly. Just like that. We're going to go in by 2, just like before. But what we need to realize for this, now we didn't really do this on the other one, but we're going to want to simulate the actual build plate itself. So for this one, we're going to jazz it up a little bit. So we're going to draw that line in nice and solid. Now we're going to go from the edge, because when we built this on our build plate, it was all the way on the edge of the thing. So we're going to go up by 5, or where our guideline is. Right, and then we're going to go in to the left by 5. Right, and then we're up by 5. You don't have to draw the line here, but we need to connect these dots here and here. Just like that. We do have our spacers in the middle of here, so we're going to draw those in. Just so that we're aware that we have those in. I'm going to go out by about 1/4 of a square. And draw our gears in. Right in the center, draw our locking nut, put our little dashes, just like that. And this is where our axle goes through. Right? We have a handle just like that. And there we have our right side view. This is the build plate. This is the actual assembly. Here's where the gears are, locking nuts, axles, and a little handle. We're going to go up to the front view. Same thing. We're going to draw our lines up just as guidelines, just to make sure we keep everything in the right spacings. Just like that. We're going to go up by 2, in by 2. Draw the lines out. This. Same thing, down by 2. Draw that up like that. It's not quite, there we go. Did not realize it wasn't on the camera directly. We're going to want to darken the lines in between here and here, because this is the build plate. Just like that. All right. And then same thing, draw your guidelines up like this. So this is where this goes in. It's right along the sides. We're going to go up by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And draw our line here and here. To erase this guideline, I drew them a little darker so it's throwing me off visually. All right. And now we need to also draw in where our gears start and end as well. And just about goes to the end of the build plate. There we go. So we're going to go up by about 1/4, lining that up with the edge of the paper so that I know it is even. Right. Just like that. There's our gears, and we're going to draw in our axles. Draw in our little locking nuts. And then drawing in where the gears all stop. It stops here and here, and there we go. Just pick one to put your handle on. Doesn't matter at this point which one you put it on. All right, so there we go. Here's our top view. And you're going to want to erase guidelines that go through, because we don't need those anymore. And you'll notice the paper looks even more clean just from erasing those guidelines. You can wait to do that after you ink it, and you can just erase the whole sheet of paper. But for me, in case I don't get to the inking, especially with the recording, it's as neat as it can be until I get to that actual ink job. This is everything that we have. The next part is that we're going to do our 3D view. We're going to do it exactly like we did before, but we are going to need to make sure that we might have to make the build plate a little less than what it actually is. So we are going to draw this straight across. It's our guidelines. Okay, we're going to go in by 2, up by 2. I'm going to go in by 3, up by 2 on this one. Or no, we'll do it by the 4. It seems to still work. Here we go. Connect the dots. Like so. And then we're going to go in by 2, and then we're going to go up by 5. Just like that. We're going to go at the edge of this one and go up by 5. We're going to wait to draw in our top line because we have to put in our gears. Taking our quarter. Here's 1. 2. And 3. Now we can draw our top line across. Remember, anywhere it's behind the gear, we do a dotted line. Just like that. All right, so we're going to go up by that 2.5. We're going to cut these out by about 2.5 right here. All right, same thing here. We're dividing our squares in half and going up by 2.5. Same thing here. 2.5. 2.5. Okay, connect your lines like so. This is a dashed line because it's behind everything until it gets to here. Just like that. Connect your line straight down like that. Connect this line. It is solid because there's nothing blocking it. Then we're going to need to draw a straight line down to here that is dashed. We have our spacers to put in. There we go. This one already has the spacers. Boom, boom, boom. We do have our circles that we need to draw in. We didn't do this on the other one, but let's go ahead and practice, right? You're dividing the square by half. We're going to do a dashed line. We can see this one. All right, these are your axles. Just like that. And then we're going to do our 3D circle type style. And put our teeth in. And there we go. So you're going to want to ink all this in together, then erase all of your pencil lines. After that, then you're good to go. Remember to always sign your work whenever you're done with it so that nobody else can steal it. And remember, everyone's signature is different. That's what keeps it separate from everyone else's. But if you have any questions for this, I know that the 3D view is one of the harder views for us to draw. If you need help with that, please just let me know. I can set up an individual class for you on the days that we don't have the class. So remember, we're meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. It's not just on, it's not on the times all week. That way we're all connected and we can all focus on that. So with this idler gear assembly, remember the whole point of this is to make sure that the gears all move in the same direction. The idler gear will go in this direction here like this, right? This one goes in this direction, and that means this one's going to go in this direction as well. And you can draw in these arrows in here like this just to give you a reference for the whole point of this assembly. so that you can remember that's the whole point of these. So they just change the direction of the gear. So in the actual simple gear assembly, they go like this. And it just stays in place. However, with the idler gear, you're able to keep the direction the same, and you can keep putting idler gears all the way down through until you get to the end of your train.